Hello and welcome back. I'm Joseph Hoffman. Today we are learning how to play the left hand of Black Snake. Let's get started by taking a look at the score. Let's analyze the left hand part. It looks like we start with a chord. We've got these notes stacked together, which tells me we play them all together. Can you tell me the letter name of this bottom note? If you said D, you're correct. And then what's this middle note? You can see that we skip up to the next line, which would be F, but there's a sharp symbol in front of it. It's important to notice, what does this sharp line up with? You look through the line that goes through the center of the sharp, and it's lined up with this note head, so you know the sharp belongs with the F. So we have a D, F sharp, and on top, what letter on top? If you said A, you're correct. And since we're in the key of D major, that's our one chord, Do, Mi, So. Let's try to play it on the piano. Okay, let's place our left hand in the D major pentascale, and we're going to play the one chord using Do, Mi, and So 2 times, and you'll notice it's marked staccato. So remember to give a nice lift with your wrist. 2 one chords, 1, 2. Now you try. Great, let's come back to the sheet music. Now, let's go through our score and hunt for all the one chords. And in your own music at home, I'd like you to mark, maybe choose a color, and I'm using green, and mark all of the one chords. This one doesn't have the F sharp. Remember, when we're in the same measure, that sharp continues on, so this F is also sharp. So here's another one chord. Looking down line 1, can you find any other one chords? Point to them. If you're pointing over here, you're correct. So in your own music, mark these with a Roman numeral 1, which is a capital I. That's how the Romans wrote the number 1. And now on line 2, can you find any more one chords? If you're pointing here and here, you're correct. So let's mark those as well. Pause the music if you need to, pause the video if you need some time to mark these in your own music. Otherwise, let's go on and check out this next chord. Now, what I like to do when I have 2 chords in a row and the next chord is different, I look at how each individual note moves. Like I may notice that this bottom note stays the same as I go from this chord to this chord. And that's a useful clue. So I know that that D didn't change. But then I see that this middle note, the F sharp, steps up, and this top note, the A, also steps up. So what does that give us? See how those top 2 notes step up, the bottom note stayed the same. So that's the one chord, and we go to the 4 chord. Let's try to play that chord progression on the piano. All right. Make sure you still have your left hand in the D major pentascale. For the 4 chord, we're going to need these 3 notes. Because remember, the F sharp and the F sharp and the A stepped up to G and B. How we'll do that is we'll use finger 2 to play G, and our finger 1 will slide over to B, like this. So we'll have 2 one chords, then thumb, finger 1 slides up, and then 2 4 chords. Now, can you try playing 2 4 chords with a nice staccato wrist lift? You try. Good. Now let's put 2 one chords together with 2 4 chords. So we'll have 1, 1, 4, 4. Now you try. Good. Now let's come back to the score. Okay, now I'm taking a different color, and you can do this yourself at home. And I'm going to mark where all of the 4 chords are. And remember, the Romans had a special way of writing numbers. They used I, V, and they like to put these funny lines over and under their letters. I guess they thought it made it look fancy. So this is a Roman numeral 4, 4 chord, 4 chord. Can you find any other 4 chords on this line? Point to them. If you're pointing over here, you're correct. So in your own music, you can use any color you want, but try and find all the 4 chords. Do you see any more 4 chords? Let's look down on line 2. Do you see any down here? Hopefully you found here and here. So let's mark those as well. Pause the video if you need a little extra time to mark those in your music. Otherwise, let's go on and figure out this chord. Can you tell me the letter name of the bottom note? If you said D, you're correct. Once again, our bottom note hasn't moved. But this time, these next two notes have changed quite a bit. It looks like we're just a step away for this next note. What's the letter name? A step above D. That would be E. And then what's the letter name for this top note of the chord? If you said G, you're correct. So we have a D, E, and G, all in the same chord. That's a new kind of chord that's called a 2-7 chord. Let's try to play it on the piano. All right, make sure your left hand's still in the D major pentascale. The 2-7 chord is made up of these three notes, D, E, and G, and you're going to use finger 5, 4, and 2. Let's practice that chord a few times. It feels a little bit awkward at first, perhaps. Just keep a nice curve in your fingers, a relaxed hand position. Let's play it 5 times. 1, do it with me, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Then you'll notice in this measure, after the 2-7 chord, we have these notes stepping down, starting on so, fa, mi, with the rhythm ti, ti, ta. So let's practice going on the 2-7 chord. 1, 2, 2 beats on the 2-7 chord, and then ti, ti, ta. Try it along with me. Ready, go. 1, 2, ti, ti, ta. Let's try it one more time. We play the 2-7 chord, and then going on from there. Go. 1, 2, ti, ti, ta. Great. Now let's come back to the score. Okay, with orange, I'm going to mark 2-7. Now, because the 2 chord is minor, if we had a regular 2 chord, it would look like this, but it's a 2-7 chord, which is why we have that extra D in there, and we use just a regular number 7, 2, 7. When it's minor, we use lowercase Roman numerals, which is just little I. So now we don't need those lines over and under. So that's how we would mark a 2-7 chord. Is this a 2-7? I almost marked that one. Nope, that one's not a 2-7. Do you see any other 2-7 chords in Black Snake? Look on line 1 and on line 2. Yep, there's one right here. 2-7. And do you see any others? Looks like that's it for 2-7 chords. So we have just one chord left. Can you find the only chord we haven't analyzed yet? If you're pointing here or down here, you're correct. Let's figure out what chord this is. Now remember, I like to see how the notes are moving. So we had a D on the bottom, and then it steps down to a C sharp. This middle G stays the same, and the top B steps down to A. Put that all together, what do we get? C sharp, G, A. What chord is that? Aha, that's our good old 5-7 chord. So let's mark these last of all. You do a V for 5 and the number 7. That makes a 5-7 chord. Can you find where the other 5-7 chords are? Point to them. They're right here. So we have a 5-7, 5-7. Let's come back to the piano and we'll try and put all these chords together. Okay, let's position our left hand in the D major pentascale, and then for the 5-7 chord, remember our finger 5 always goes down a half step to T, and we'll get the 5-7 chord on these notes right here with finger 5, 2, and 1 in the left hand. And once again, it's a half note, so we'll hold it 2 beats, 1, 2, and just like before, we have T, T, Ta. So let's practice that. Play the 5-7 chord and then the next 3 notes. Go. 1, 2, Ti, ti, ta. Good. Now let's put all of these measures together from the beginning. Place your left hand in the D major pentascale and we'll take turns. I'll play a measure, then you play a measure. Here we go, starting with measure 1. My turn. 1, 1, 4, 4. Now your turn. Good, next measure we have the 2/7 chord. 1, 2, ti, ti, ta. Your turn. Good, now going on to measure 3. 1 chord, 1 chord, 4 chord, 4 chord. Your turn. Good, now we need the 5/7 chord. 1, 2, ti, ti, ta. Your turn. Good, now measure 5, just like measure 1. 1 chord, 1 chord, 4 chord, 4 chord. Your turn. Good, now the 2/7 chord. 2, ti, ti, ta. Your turn. Good. Now it's time for the last two measures. You'll notice we start off with 2 staccato 5/7 chords, so let's try that. Your turn. Good, and then next we have so, mi, re, do. Can you play that? Good, now let's put that together. We have 5/7, 5/7, so, mi, re, do. Your turn. Good, and then you'll see we have two notes that are lower than our lowest finger on the piano, which tells us we're going to have to shift our hand. So take a look at this next note, and can you tell me its letter name? If you said A, you're correct. It's this A right here, a step above ground G. I call the bottom line of the bass clef ground G because it's at the bottom, and then one step higher would be A, and the score tells us to use finger 1 on A. And now take a look at the last note, and can you figure out what note that is? It helps to use the bottom line ground G as a starting point, and then if you just count down line, space, you'll see that this note hangs below the line, a skip below ground G. Here's ground G, skip below that would be E, and then step below that is D. So we end with A, D, one octave lower than we started. So watch that once. I'm going to start at the 2 5/7 chords. We have 5/7, 5/7, so, do. So basically you're moving from this D major pentascale down to this D major pentascale to finish with a so, do, 2 staccato notes. One more time, you have 5/7, so, mi, re, do, so, do. Now you try. Great job. Now, I'd like you to press pause, and now that you know all of the left hand, try going through it 3 or 4 times, and then when you're ready, press play, and I'll play it with you all the way through. All right, I'm going to play the entire left hand. You're welcome to play along with me, or just listen. I'll count off 4 beats, and then away we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great job learning the left hand of Black Snake. These chords take most students several days of careful practice and lots of repetitions to master. Be sure to stick with it every day. Be patient with yourself. And once you have the left hand and right hand mastered hands alone, then you'll be ready to put the hands together in an upcoming lesson. Thanks for watching and happy practicing. Do you see that black snake anywhere? No, I think we lost him. I wonder how he got out of his cage anyway. I know. I'm sure he just scaled the wall. Oh, that made me think of another one. What did the snake do when it started to rain? I don't know. What? He turned on the windshield viper. Oh, someone still needs their good night hiss. Ah, run!